This is the Rockling Road Show, the only show for bikers, by bikers. Jump on as we talk all things motorcycle, maintenance, accessories, weekly rides, bike nights, and more. With your hosts, Alvie and The One3. So kickstands up and let's get rolling.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Rockling Road Show. It's Alvie
and The One3, baby.
And we're doing a social distancing special today. We are, everybody's feeling the. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit too. But everybody's feeling it, so we thought we'd join the join the party, right?
Right on, man. I am live at the 1-3 bar.
There you go. You're live at the 1-3 bar, and I'm live at the Alvie household. So, as always, guys, the episode is brought to you by Misfit Metalworks. Misfit Metalworks offers CNC plasma cutting, iron welding, metal fabrication, prototyping services, as well as laser engraving. If you need anything, contact the Misfits at 813-598-7409. Or you can stop by the shop at 1913 East Bears Avenue, Unit 1100B, Tampa, Florida, 33613. And, of course, let them know that we sent you.
Absolutely. And, we're also brought by Eric Warren Artistry. Eric Warren is a custom paint and fabrication studio specializing in turning custom dreams into reality. The guy is amazing, man. I was in there the other night with our buddies from Sweden. We had Harry and Robin in there. But they offer a one-stop shop for all your paint, metal, fiberglass needs, welding, powder coating, motorcycle stereo equipment, air rides, custom wheels, man. Anything you need done to a bike to make it customized. And not just bikes, because I know he's getting off and doing some other things too. So contact Eric Warren Artistry at 813-503-4764. Stop by the shop if you're in the neighborhood. It's 13215 North Nebraska Avenue, Suite A in Tampa. That's at 33612. Let them know the Rockling Road Show sent you.
Absolutely. So like we were saying, here we are, social distancing ourselves, playing the coronavirus game.
I hear you say game. It's not a game. I work at the VA, and this is one of them things, man. Dude, shit got real. We have 4 entrances into the hospital. They lock down everything. We can only go in 4 different ways. They screen you when you go in.
Yeah.
If you're moving around like from building to building, they used to give you a sticker, but they don't give you a sticker anymore. So you pretty much get screened all day long going into each. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
I spent today. They're doing at the parking garage. They're doing a screening station out there.
Oh,
yeah. So before the people get out of their car.
Wow.
They're coming over to get screened. They're
just checking like fever and whatnot.
Yeah, they're checking to see if you got
temperatures and whatnot.
Yes, and they ask you if you've been, the common questions. Hey, have you been to South Florida?
Right.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Have you been out of the state or out of the country? Do you have any symptoms? There's a lot of different little things there. It's ridiculous, man. It's crazy.
Soon. Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, the thing I kind of wanted to get at too was, you kind of touched on it, right? You work in a hospital.
Yes.
So you guys are obviously working. You're essential, right? So you guys have to be there for it. And then myself as a pilot, I spent all of last week kind of flying all over the place, picking people up and moving them to safer places or to be with their family because some of them are on vacation, so forth and so on. So that's why we're doing our first episode of the month almost at the end of the month, if you think about it.
Right, it's crazy, man.
We haven't. The last time we were on right before we did the Battle of the Bands, which was like 2 weeks ago. So
and it was amazing, and that was right when I got back from California, and I was all up.
And we had family issues at the beginning of the month. Then we had, and then this thing sprouted up, and then because of that work and everything else. So like this is literally the first time we've had a chance to sit down and bring a show to you guys. So so that for that, it is what it is. We're sorry that it took us so long to get out to you guys, but yeah, we've been dealing and fighting with this whole epidemic, as most of you guys have as well. So this whole social distancing and all the stuff that goes along with this has sucked. It really has sucked.
It has sucked.
And I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
There you go.
You've got to play, and I call it the game, but you've got to play the game. You've got to do the right things because
exactly.
A lot of people, and I don't want to get too political with this. And we kind of I wanted to talk. Obviously, this is a hot topic right now, so we're not going to not talk about it, right? but a lot of people are saying, oh, this isn't that big a deal, right? It's not. It only affects the elderly really bad, right? It's only the mortality rate in the elderly is through the roof, right? And people of our age or younger aren't really. You get the flu and you get a little bit of sick, a little cough, and you're done. But the issue is it's not what happens to me or you, right? It's what happens to you. You get it, you take it home, and then you give it to your mom, or you give it to your, or younger folks give it to their grandparents, or something along those lines, And then you're talking, and then it didn't affect you, and it didn't bother you, or you got a slight fever and maybe threw up a little bit, but grandma and mom and dad or whatever, they're the ones that are struggling. They're the ones that are going to hurt from from you not doing the thing, the thing you're supposed to do. So.
And watching the news and watching the kids in South Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care, man. Coronavirus, whatever. I'm here to party, dude. We're not really worried about you.
Yeah.
We're not worried about you. I'm worried about your parents. I'm worried about the younger, the pregnant girlfriend, the pregnant wife, the younger people, and the sick people. Because anybody has underlying issues.
Oh yeah.
There was a nurse. She was early 40s, late 30s, somewhere around there. She died. She was the first healthcare worker dying from this, but she had underlying health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucks, man. You really, really want to or need to abide by all the rules that they're putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we can knock this shit out.
Yeah, we can knock it out. It's like I saw a funny meme. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I saw a funny meme.
No, it's fine.
And it was like, can we all start doing the things that that the CDC and everybody's asking us to do? I feel like a kindergartner whose recess time keeps getting put off because nobody's listening to the rules, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of and we kind of feel the same way. It's just like, man, they're talking like, what sucks is where I live, right, in Dunedin, we're a small town inside of a large, metropolitan area, right? So a lot of the businesses downtown Dunedin are mom and pop businesses. They're not, we got 7 breweries. Some of them do sell to distributors, but the vast majority of them, this is killing them, and they've had to literally close down, and luckily they're still allowed to do to go like growlers and shit like that. But I look at this and go, man, if this thing continues for any length of time, my little city down here is going to be vastly different when stuff starts to open back up again because of all this stuff. So like like the 1-3 said, just do what you're supposed to do, right? Stay at home if you don't need to be out, like we're doing right now, right? Stay at home if you don't need to be out. Limit yourself to just going to the grocery store, to go orders, things like that. I know I saw the other day Uber Eats has initiated delivery to the door, so they won't even you don't even have contact with the driver anymore. They'll literally bring it, drop it off at your doorstep, and leave, and then you go out and pick up your food. So so these are the things that we can do to kind of help put an end to this thing, so that we can get ourselves back out there having fun on 2 wheels, enjoying the brotherhood and the camaraderie that this lifestyle brings to all of us. So
absolutely. You know what? We should probably put this to bed. Just do your shit. Just do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
a lot of people are not listening to it. They're thinking this is a joke. It's no freaking joke, man. Trust me, I work at a hospital. Yeah. It's no joke.
In the great the words of wisdom, right? Do your shit, stay at home. Let's kick this thing in the ass, and
hell yeah,
let's get back to having some fun, right?
All right.
So we teased a story a couple of weeks ago before all of this stuff kind of started happening, right? 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now. We teased a story. A lot of people wanted to hear our take on it. So we're going to bring you the story of the Harley Davidson CEO stepping down. What that means, what we think about it, and then we'll kind of move on from there. So I'll let the 1-3 start this story, and then we'll kind of just bat around and figure out what's going on.
Cool. Well, and here I am touching my face. That I did sanitize my hands, but one of the things, don't touch your damn face. As we all know, the struggling giant, man, Harley Davidson, the CEO decided to take a step down. He decided to go down and give someone else a chance at the helm. Matt Levatich, I think his name is.
Sounds good to me. That's how I was going to say it.
Levatich. I don't know, man. Well, he stepped down as president and chief executive of Harley Davidson on February 28th after a 5-year tenure. He had 26 years with the company, man. So that's just crazy. We have some numbers to look at, and you know that I'm not going to do that because I'm not that guy. So now I'm going to throw this back to you.
So as 1-3 was saying there, right? He was five-year guy as the head of Harley Davidson, but he's spent 26 years with the company. He started from the bottom up, basically. He didn't come in as an executive, which I thought was kind of neat. So real quick numbers. I won't bore you too much with this, but some interesting things. Harley's share price since Levatich took charge in May of 2015 has fallen by 46%. So almost half, half since he took over. And just this year, it's gone down over 18% just this year. And that was all before the market crash because of the coronavirus stuff. So they're down 46% in total since he took the helm. Okay. Harley's $4.6 billion market capitalization is down by more than half since he took over. Harley bike sales in the U.S. has dropped for the 5th straight year in 2019. So since he's been at the helm, their sales have dropped every year. They had one rise in one quarter in that 5 years. So in 21 quarters, they had one where they actually increased their sales, but for the most part, it's just been a downward slope. Their global motorcycle shipments are at their lowest since 2010. So, just some small numbers here and there. We all know that the motorcycle market as a whole has taken a big hit, right? Motorcycle sales are down to a 16-year low right now. So not all of this is predicated on this man's leadership, but some of it is, because even though motorcycle sales have been down over the last 16 years, even though they're down right now and they're at a 16-year low, some other manufacturers are doing pretty well. I won't say that they're doing great, but they're doing better than Harley Davidson.
So is he the reason for him dropping out? You figure, because like it says, he's been in office, if you will,
right,
for 5 years, and they've been going down steadily for 5 years. So I'm guessing he's taking the blame for this, or
I mean, and he let's be realistic, right? He didn't step down. He was asked to step down. He didn't go, you know what? I'm not doing so good. No, he was asked to step down by the board. You got to also remember that Harley Davidson is a publicly traded company, so they have shareholders and stockholders to answer to. So he was asked to step down. Is basically how that was. He's had a tough go. Again, he's had a tough market to deal with while he was at the helm, but the numbers don't lie. When you have shareholders beholden to, and you're down almost 50% since you took over, I mean, there's something to be said there, because not every motorcycle company has had that big of a loss. And also, while the market has been rough, and we'll get to this in a little bit, his decisions on how to combat that market, right, to get that upturn to go, the decisions that he's made haven't worked. And some of those decisions have cost, millions and millions and millions of dollars to make that happen. So,
right. And it's not helping that the market is, the Harley market is graying out, if you will. Us old guys, we're dying really, and there's no one to replace us. Mm-hmm. The younger guys just aren't buying Harley Davidsons. Mm-hmm. They don't see a Harley like they see other motorcycle companies, other motorcycles, entry level bikes as well. So, but I believe no matter who's leading the company, there's always going to be that issue of graying out that they're going to have to address.
Yeah. I think that, and we've kind of talked about this in the past before, but I think what motorcycle manufacturers have to do moving forward, okay, is stop thinking about a motorcycle that you've got to build to bring people in, right? It's not a product problem. It's a culture problem. Okay. It doesn't matter what product you bring to the table if the culture sucks. And by that, what I mean, I don't mean that the motorcycle culture sucks. What I mean is that the culture that we have established in the motorcycle community, for some reason, and I don't know what the reason is, and this is what, as a company like Harley Davidson's got to figure out, how do you market the culture? How do you market the lifestyle to the younger generation? It's not about the bike. It's not about electric vehicles. It's not about emission control. It's not about being green. These have nothing to do with their problem in selling motorcycles. Their problem in selling motorcycles is selling the lifestyle to the younger generation, which I think every motorcycle manufacturer across the board has failed miserably at that.
Yeah, and you're right. You got to bring the younger generation in to see the lifestyle that we have to ride. I mean, even just going on short rides, the way we and I can't say poker runs, because honestly, when Harley guys get on a bike for a poker run, we go bar to bar to bar. I want to do I want to say get the younger guys, get the culture to bring them on longer rides, 100-mile rides, which would be a short ride for us, and get them going out and see what these back roads are like. Maybe that would, maybe start gearing people towards that style of riding versus, urban from just going back and forth to work, or something.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. That's where I think these guys are going. They're buying the smaller bikes to go back and forth to work. They're the urban generation, the urban riders, if you will.
And I think, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think that that's what the younger generation, the younger demographic is buying a motorcycle for. I really don't.
Really?
Because, no, I don't think, because think about it. Let's think about it in this regard. Most of the kids coming up nowadays, right? The kids have grown up in the technology era, right?
Yes.
We're taking part of the technology era, but this is what kids deal with now.
Right.
Friggin' Kim's sister and brother-in-law, with the exception of a few travel days or a few travel weeks throughout the year, they telecommute to work. They work from home. They sit in front of a desk for, 6 or 7 hours a day, and they do the work that they have to do. Their home-based office is in San Francisco, California. They live in Orlando. So the majority, and I don't want to say the majority because that's not really an accurate deal, but I'm going to just say the word, the majority of kids coming up nowadays aren't driving from their house to their workplace anymore. Most of that stuff is being done online. Most of it's done in this way, except it's, a big teleconference call where you have multiple people in on this, right? Those are the kinds of things. So I guess the argument that kids are looking for a more affordable way to get, because look, it's actually cheaper. I'm just going to grab an Uber to go to downtown or whatever. If I need to go to work or whatever, and I'm carbon conscious or whatever, all the things that we think that that the younger generation is all about, they could just jump on an Uber and a Lyft share ride with 3 or 4 friends. Now they're carpooling to work, and those are the kinds of things that they are doing when they do it. Okay,
so that shot my kids going, younger generation and what have you, to bridging that gap. I can see your point, but the other side of that is the younger guys that want to thrill. They're buying crotch rockets versus.
Exactly. There you go.
So the younger guys, they want to have a thrill. They want to thrill seek. That's what they're looking for. So they're buying the crotch rockets, the R1s, the R6s, we can't say Busa anymore because they stopped making them. But that style of bike, Ducati, what have you, and they're buying them and they're doing wheelies and they're doing their things. They want the thrill. I guess maybe that's what put a hurting on Harley Davidson and the cruisers and stuff.
Well, and you kind of, you bring up a point to where where you're saying it is a product issue. So maybe the issue is somewhere there in the middle, right? It's a little bit of culture and it's a little bit of product. And I was reading in one of the articles I was reading too, it said that Harley Davidson doesn't have a racing bike anymore ever since they got rid of Buell.
Right.
That was the last racing bike that Harley Davidson has had, right?
Right.
You look at the other competitors. You look over at Indian, and they have their flat track themed style bike that they brought. I think it's the FTX or something like that. They brought that out, right?
Right.
It's a racing bike kind of idea or whatever, but so maybe you're onto something there too, where Harley needs to stop thinking about these big, massive, heavy motorcycles.
No, I love my Road Glide, and I intend to get in.
I don't. But here's the reality.
Maybe make less of them.
Yeah, and I was going to say, here's the reality of it is, okay, I'm probably the last generational group, right, age group that is riding the Street Glide and the Road Glide and the Electra Glide and the Ultra and everything else, right? My next bike is probably going to be an Ultra. That's just reality, right? But there's a few guys, like Afghan war vets, Iraq war vets that came home and bought Street Glides and Road Glides and whatnot. But generally speaking, you're very, very hard pressed to find a kid under the age of 35 that's riding a big, heavy Harley Davidson or a big touring bike.
They are few and far between. However, they're out there.
Sure,
and maybe are. And maybe that's the guy that they should go after.
But there's not enough of them.
No, but what I'm saying is get that guy to say, hey, look, why don't you try to get his people to, him to talk to his generation and him to get other, younger guys involved more into the cruiser bike, the bigger bikes, the Road Glide, Street Glides and such. And it doesn't have to be Harley Davidson. That's what we're talking about, but into a bagger lifestyle.
And I got to be honest with you. I think, and I kind of have avoided this topic for a while, or this idea for a while. in this topic is Harley owners, for the vast majority, Harley owners have killed the image of Harley Davidson, in my opinion. Okay.
I tend to agree. I don't
want to say we, because I'm a new Harley owner, right? I love my bike, but I would ride an Indian. I'm not brand loyal to my motorcycle, right? But my point is that the Harley owner has made it to where the Harley is, I don't know, is the king, right? Which they were for a long time. And
right.
And they were the bike of choice for a lot of guys coming back from overseas into the motorcycle club world, right?
That's where I was going. That's what I was exactly hoping you were going with this, into the motorcycle club lifestyle. Because, like I've said before, and this was even before I owned a Harley, I was like, look, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and a Harley, buying a Harley Davidson and a leather jacket does not make you a biker, bro.
No,
because you have doctors, lawyers, you have, Indians, however that saying goes. But you have all these guys that, hey, I've got a lot of money. I'm going to go and I'm going to spend $40,000, $50,000. I'm going to have this badass looking bike, but you can't ride the fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you're not a biker. You're not in the lifestyle. And I see where you're going with, yes, Harley owners have kind of dirtied the name of Harley Davidson, if you will, like you're saying. They've taken it and they've made it a little bit sour for a lot of people. The biker lifestyle has started to go to the wayside, which,
in my opinion too, I think that's why a lot of the other manufacturers have done a little bit better than Harley has in weathering the storm, because of that culture, right? That image of the Harley owner. Because when if you go to anybody, I guarantee you could go to anybody on the street, whether they ride or they don't, and you ask them, tell me what your vision of a Harley Davidson rider is. It's going to be the same every single time. Old, white guy, beard, mustache, long hair.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. Yeah. Everybody sees it, right? And that's,
they're gonna see the gray. They're actually gonna probably talk about the gray beard, because that's now going to the graying out.
Yep.
That's now the persona of the Harley rider. You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I get on my bike. I'm that guy.
Yeah, no, I am too. It's interesting, and we'll kind of move on to the rest of the story here, but it's an interesting problem that Harley Davidson is going to face, and I'm curious to see how they're going to fix the issues that they have, because the issues that they have don't just revolve around a declining motorcycle market.
Right.
Damn. So kind of moving forward with the story, so we don't get tied up too much here. But yeah, coronavirus.
You bastard.
Yeah. So we know that the marketplace as a whole is kind of hurting Harley Davidson. There's some other things economically that have hurt Harley Davidson in the past, or even in the near past, I should say. Levitach, while he was CEO, faced a tough trade war, and it put him in hot water with President Trump, because he decided to move manufacturing of some motorcycles from the U.S. overseas. And the reason he did this was to avoid tariffs that Europe was placing on American products shipped into Europe and China.
I think that sucked. That was a poor decision on his part. I'm sorry.
It was, and I'll get into this. It was, but it wasn't, and here's why. So Harley, along with other manufacturers, faced extra costs when they were dealing with trade between the U.S. and Europe. Right? Europe, what they did in retaliation. So the U.S., if most of you guys, if you don't remember, when President Trump became president, he put a levy on all imported aluminum and steel coming into the United States. Most of that stuff was coming from China and Europe. So in retaliation of that, Europe decided, fine, if you're going to impose levies on our products coming into your country, we're going to do the same to you. So Europe decided to place tariffs on all manufactured items coming from the U.S. into Europe. And what that ended up doing was took all the profits that, I don't want to say all, but took a lot of the profits that Harley Davidson was making and put it into paying all these tariffs going over to the European market, and which was painful for Harley because Levitach, his whole fix to this whole problem that they had was we have to generate half of our income, and we talked about this in a show a couple months ago. But he decided that he needed half of revenue for Harley Davidson to come from the overseas market. So he was going to make half of the money here in the States and half over in Europe, so that he could kind of quell the losses that he was facing here in the States. Well, when you start taxing and placing tariffs on half of your income, right? It's just something they couldn't overcome. Now that move, they closed the plant here in the States and they moved it to Thailand, and they shipped all of the bikes that were going to Europe and to China out of that Thailand-based plant. By doing so, they were able to offset $100 million in tariffs.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So if you look at it in that regard, it makes a lot of sense that you would move. And honestly, sure, you go from, okay, now Harley Davidsons aren't made in the U.S. anymore, right? But all the bikes that were being built in Thailand weren't coming to it's not like they were building them over there and shipping them over here, right?
Right.
They were doing what any company really would have done. And if it's going to cost us whatever, if it's going to cost us $10 to send an item, why not just build a plant next to where I want to send it, and then it's going to cost me $1 or whatever, using.
True. I mean, it's a good analogy. That'll work.
But yeah, so you build the item closer to where you want to sell it. So it made sense, right? And I mean, again, it saved them $100 million, but it was kind of a little too late. And that's going to be a theme that we see here with most of Levitach's decisions, but it just didn't offset the drag of the U.S. sales.
Right.
And hoping to get to half their income overseas by 2027 just really isn't doable anymore with the current climate that we have between Europe and the U.S. So, and then the hot water with Trump came because he moved that. Trump basically threatened to boycott all of Harley Davidson's motorcycles. So you have a president that is threatening to boycott a company, and all of his followers and supporters getting on that bandwagon again doesn't help to bring that image of Harley Davidson back into a good spot.
No.
So like I was saying too, a common theme with Levitach is a little too late. It wasn't, the market hasn't been easy for him, but again, this guy was behind the curve at all times.
Yeah. Harley they were caught looking, while their competition was putting out more affordable, lightweight bikes. They were putting out the smaller bikes, getting them on the street, They started to come out with bikes to compete, but they've been playing catch up for like the last 3 years. Ducati came out with a Monster 797. Triumph came out with a Bobber and the Street Scrambler. And what was it? Indian came out with the Scout, So these lightweight bikes, these smaller bikes, these more economical that you could probably get in from like 9,000 to 13 grand, somewhere in that area. I can see where they kind of fell behind, Yeah. And then you got that where Harley went all in on the electric motorcycle. From what I understand, he's putting out another one. But you got the Live Wire, which for $29,000, and it hasn't gotten in much traction. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody's buying the damn thing.
Well, and I mean, it's again, from the outside looking in, right? You get, like you were saying, 3 years ago, all of their competitors making what? Small, lightweight, affordable bikes. And what is Harley's answer to that?
Yeah, well,
we put out the Live Wire.
Yeah, $30,000 motorcycle.
Like,
right?
Why? And I mean, don't get me wrong; they were the pioneer, so to speak, right? Because they put the Live Wire out, and then everybody started putting out electric motorcycles, right?
Right. Well, I think Harley Davidson had one back in the 70s.
Right, exactly. So I mean, so they were the pioneer on it, but all these other companies were putting out electric motorcycles at almost half the price of Harley's Live Wire. Oh. And then
there were also smaller bikes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe here's the trend there. The smaller, lightweight bikes. And going back to what you said earlier about bringing other people, you said to bridge this gap. Maybe that's where they need to go, like you said. And I would hate to see the big bikes go away. But maybe you're right, for them to get more traction.
Yeah.
Using.
Well, and I don't think that the big bike line has to go away, but you've got to go more. You got to go the other way. You've got to come up. Your newer bikes need to be in that same breath, right? In that same small, lightweight, affordable. And that's going to get you because I mean, think about it, and I mean, we talked about this too. Think about this. When you're a 20-something-year-old and maybe you do like motorcycles and maybe you do want to get into motorcycles and maybe you do like the culture and the lifestyle. Right. But at 20 years old, I mean, when I was in my 20s, I bought a Jap bike because I could get a big, heavy, fat boy-ish bike for half of the price if I went on a Jap bike.
Yep, and that's my same thing. I literally couldn't get into Harley Davidson until a year ago because I couldn't afford the damn thing.
Right.
You know, and of course I went straight for the biggest bike they had.
Right.
At the time, but I definitely see it. I see where you're saying, bridging that gap, getting the smaller, the lightweight bikes out there to the younger generation. But also you have to draw them away from the sport bike. Now you have that to contend with. That's the same. It's on the same thing, I think.
But let me put it to you. Let me put it at you this way: do you have to pull them away from the street bike, or do you make a street bike?
You make a sport bike.
I mean, a sport bike. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Why not make a Harley Davidson sport bike? They did the Buell, right? The Buell was very popular with.
Right. Well, that was a combined effort between what's his name, Kenny Buell, or something like that. So I mean, they did that, and Buell is out there again, but not with a Harley power plant.
But I mean, I don't. That's kind of my thought is, don't stop trying to reinvent the wheel. If your if the market you need to replace your aging out market is going after a specific type of bike, then fucking build that bike. If you're in the business of selling stuff, right, and the stuff that you're making isn't selling, and you look at the guy next to you and he's selling widget A and your widget isn't working,
right,
start trying to make what he's making. and just put your own twist
within
on
reason.
it.
Yes, yes.
Put your own twist on it. Because I can envision what a Harley Davidson sport bike would look like.
Well, let's make one.
Right? I mean, they take the Dyna fairing and do something with that look, that fairing, because it kind of already has that look. So figure something out there. Change the seating position. Make that bike. If that's what people want, then make it. Stop going down this one track mind that everything's got to be big engine, big bore, lots. Whoa, slow down. Maybe it doesn't have to be. I don't know.
Keep your hands close to you, because they get really big when they get out. They're really big.
But there's something to be said about that. I don't know. I just think I think that Harley Davidson has missed the mark a lot.
And during this whole thing, I've come to change my mind on several little things. Going back through, I want this bike, I want the big bike, but you know what? A sport bike Harley Davidson, why not?
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's a big, heavy V twin. So somehow you lighten the V twin.
The Japanese have been doing it for years.
Yeah, they have.
So I think here's another, and the live wire kind of throws the wrench into my thought here, but I think the other thing is I think we need to get off of the idea that a Harley Davidson has to sound like a Harley Davidson. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, well, I love the way they sounded with the Buell.
Don't get me wrong. I think they're awesome too.
The exhaust that the Buell had, have you ever listened to that?
Oh yeah.
God, that sounded so nice.
Yeah, man. But I think that's another thing is maybe, that and then that goes also to you're able to make a lighter engine that is still producing a shitload of torque. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right.
I don't know. Just there's a lot of things there, man. So with that, Levittich is out, and a board member by the name, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but Joshin Zeitz.
Zeitz or Zeitz or some shit. I don't know.
Like that, right? He's the former CEO of Puma, the sneaker manufacturer.
Oh, right on.
He's kind of assumed the role of acting CEO until they find a replacement. And hopefully it's somebody who can come in and transform that company, make it into what it needs to be.
Right. Hopefully someone sees, like we saw, like we're thinking on, my boss said today, because I was doing a certain job and I did the job a little bit different than they thought. And he goes, dude, you're thinking outside the box, man. I was like, yeah, that's how I think, You gotta, so maybe he'll think outside the box and he'll figure something out, and maybe he will make a lighter V twin, a sport bike style Harley Davidson. Dude, I really wouldn't mind seeing it. Not that I would buy it, because I can't bend over like that anymore.
Right.
Move the gear, your foot pegs back, your shifter back, move everything back, get away from the Baker, 6-speed, put a different, find something that works, make it work. And I guarantee, man, they'll be there. Yeah.
So with that, man, I've got a couple questions, and they're not necessarily questions for you. They're questions for everybody. These are kinds of things to think about with all of this. Right. So, so obviously the board of directors at Harley Davidson has a big decision to make, right? They've got to find somebody to run their company. Do they go with somebody who's been in the motorcycle world, or do they go with a complete outsider? Do they try that? What is the right answer there?
So do they go with someone that's really good at business, versus someone that knows about the, like they took widget A and made widget A go bam,
Yeah, that's an interesting question to think about. the thing that's not going to change is whoever they pick. I was going to say whoever the new guy is, whoever the new guy or gal is going to be. They're gonna face the same challenges that Levitach has faced the last 5 years.
Right, absolutely.
The market is not going to change because you have a new guy or girl leading the company, right? So they're still going to face those problems.
Yep.
So with that, does the new guy or gal, does the new person, let's just put it that way, does the new leader of Harley Davidson come in and stick to the path that Levitach put forth already, right? The half the income coming from overseas market by 2027, being invested heavily in the electric motorcycle, growing that international business and that international market. Do they stick to that? Which, hasn't worked yet. I don't know that it has. Right? Do they just resign that Harley Davidson is a niche market and they're not going to be the big time powerhouse that they once were, and they're just gonna be that niche market or niche company that's gonna sell to the old guys,
the gray,
until we can't ride anymore, right?
Right, but here's the thing: that they're going to sell to us gray guys, but there's always gray guys coming up, and
right.
These guys. The guys that are on sport bikes now, not all of them are going to be able to ride sport bikes. They're going to all, they're going to move up. But then again, they may move to like BMW. They may move to, the Can-Ams and stuff like that. So,
yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting way to look at it. Or does the new person come in and have bold, ideas and starts exploring different avenues, different revenue avenues? Do they start looking at smaller bikes like we were talking about, smaller bikes, cheaper bikes, sport bikes, to challenge those foreign makers, right? To challenge the Ducatis, the Kawasaki's, the Hondas, so forth and so on, right?
Right.
So I mean, there's those are the kind of the three places that Harley can kind of fall into, and where do they end up? The other thing is or have we just come to a point where Harley Davidson is a legacy brand and it's just outlived its time?
Well, that would
the
suck.
other thing.
I mean, it would suck, but it would make the price of our Harleys go up.
It most certainly would, right? But yeah, those I think are the real questions that Harley Davidson has to ask themselves, and where do they see themselves on that scale, right? They're either going to evolve and become a new maker, right? A new company, a new culture.
Right.
They're going to stay the same way and just struggle along, or they downsize themselves and go the other way around. So, I don't really know what the answer is, but they've got to come up with something.
Yeah. For whoever the task is with leading the iconic company into the new decade, they're going to have one hell of a mountain to climb, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks or so, next couple of months, especially with the way everything is kind of going right now, when they decide to pick that new person to run the business and what they bring to the table. Looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing what they do. So, usually we end the show with upcoming bike events, but
well, we can tell you that Leesburg is done.
Canceled. Leesburg is canceled. So no bike events, guys. We will be back again next week, I hope. It might be still done this way. We'll see what happens. But
all is what I know is I get screened every day. I'm good. It's on you.
It's on me. So yeah, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Again, thank you to Misfit Metalworks and Eric Warren Artistries for your continued partnership.
Well, I want to give shout outs. We want to give a shout out to Jasmine Kane the other night for doing that show. Friday night, was it? Friday?
No, Friday or Saturday.
Friday or Saturday night, and she put a GoFundMe up to help raise some funds for the devastation in Nashville, I believe it was, when the tornado went through and some other stuff. I want to give a shout out to her, Connie. Connie's been really on my case about getting things up on the website. So we're working on the Rockling Road Show website too. I think my tech guy over there somewhere.
Maybe. Something like that.
He's got some time off.
Also wanted to, we did a post about it, but also want to extend a very happy birthday to Fran Hosh.
Absolutely.
That's also out there too. So, cool, man. If you don't have anything, I got nothing else. And in the fashion of the Rockling Road Show, you guys keep it rocking.
Rubber side down, baby.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Stay safe out there. Don't do anything dumb. Listen to everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Wash your hands. See ya. Peace.